This is Note Taking Guide 2.8. We're going to factor quadratics. So really when we're talking about factoring, we're really just talking about doing the FOIL method backwards. So if this was my answer from the FOIL method, what did I multiply x by to get to this x squared? Well, I multiplied it by x, so x goes in my parentheses here. And then what did I multiply a negative 2 by to get to this negative 2? I multiplied it by a positive 1, so I'm going to put a positive 1 there. Then I'm just going to check really fast to make sure that my other numbers worked. So if I did here and got a negative 2x, and I did here and got a plus 1x, did it add together to be that negative 1 in the middle? And it did, so I'm done right that with those numbers that I substituted in. Okay, same thing here. What did I multiply x by to get to x squared? I multiplied it by x. And what did I multiply 4 by to get to a negative 36? I multiplied it by a negative 9. So then I'm going to just check to make sure that those middle terms worked out the way I thought they would. So that would be a minus 9x. And this would be a plus 4x. And those add together to be a negative 5x, which is exactly what I needed in the middle. So on this one, my factors would be x plus 4 and x minus 9. Okay. This last problem right here, same thing. What do you multiply x by to get to x squared? You multiply it by x. And what do you multiply 7 by to get to a negative 28? It would be a minus 4. Check those middle terms to make sure they work. You'd have a negative 4x and a positive 7x, which would add to be a positive 3, so that is correct. Okay, on these next problems right here, we're finding the error, and we're going to correct it. All right, I just went back a page on the slideshow here because I forgot to do those other 3 problems right here. So this time we're just putting in the appropriate signs. So I need 6 and 4 to multiply together to be a positive 24. They have to add together to be a positive 10. In order to multiply to a positive 24, they could be a positive 6 and 4, or they could be a negative 6 and 4. But to get them to add to a positive 10, they have to be positive. So I'm going to be putting a plus sign here and a plus sign there. On this next one, when I'm doing it, I need my numbers to multiply together to be a positive 10. So it could be a 2 and a 5, or it could be a negative 2 and a negative 5. I need to pick the ones that will add to a negative 7. So this time I'm going to have a minus 2 and a minus 5. Then this last one right here, the same kind of problem. We need to multiply to 8 and add to 9. So it could be 8 and 1, or it could be negative 8 and negative 1 to get that positive 8 on the end. But the one that adds to a positive 9 would be 8 and 1. So plus and plus. All right, let's go try these other problems again that I tried to skip to just a minute ago. We're going to find the error in this. So they have to multiply to a negative 24, which they do, but they have to add to a negative 5. And the way they are, I would have a negative 3 and a positive 8. That adds to a positive 5. So what I need to do there is I need to change both of the signs to the opposite of what they are. If I make this plus 3 and minus 8, then a negative 8 plus 3 would be a negative 5, and that will get me to the middle term that I need. Let's look at this next one. I'm multiplying to 10, positive 10, which that's a problem right off the bat. That doesn't multiply to positive 10, that multiplies to negative 10. So I know I need to multiply to a positive 10, so I can have a negative 5 and a negative 2, or a positive 5 and a positive 2. But I need them to add to a negative 7. In order to add to a negative 7, they both have to be negative. So I'm going to change this sign right here to negative. One last example of finding the error. My two numbers have to multiply to a negative 8, which they do. and they have to add to a positive 2. So let's think about multiplying to a negative 8. You could have negative 4 and 2, or you could have 4 and negative 2. I need them to add to a positive 2. To get them to add to a positive 2, I actually need a positive 4 and a negative 2. So in this case, I'm going to have to change both signs. Last two problems on this page we're going to do completely by our own. So we're going to set up our parentheses. How do we get that x squared? It would have to be x times x and our FOIL method. We need two numbers to multiply to be 9, and they have to add to be negative 10. So what multiplies to 9? You could have 9 and 1, or you could have negative 9 and negative 1. Which set of them add to a negative 10? It would be a minus 9 and a minus 1. All right, last problem. Factoring again on our own. We're going to take that x squared right there and split it up to x times x to multiply to x squared. We're going to find our numbers that will multiply to be a negative 48 and add to be negative 2. So I'm thinking 6 and 8 are going to be it. I'm going to have to try them being positive and negative. Opposite signs is what gets me to multiply to a negative 48. The ones that will add to a negative 2 are 6 and 8 negative.